Good morning, students. I want to give you some notes today on the Reformation. And last Friday, we talked a little bit about the Reformation. Actually, we didn't talk. You did some notes, and these were on the church and a couple of people who attempted to start the Reformation but did not. So I just want to quickly kind of go through that. Um, the church, as it said in your notes, and this is stuff you should already have from Friday, it says, the church was the ultimate authority of the known and unknown world. What this means is that they basically were the authority on everything. They were the authority on science, they were the authority on history, and to challenge any of their beliefs was to challenge God, okay, and to challenge the church's understanding of what the universe and what the world was like at that time. Okay. There were a couple of unsuccessful reformers in this history of the church, and the first is a guy named John Wycliffe. Wycliffe is a British priest, and he believed that the church should be poor as it was in the days of the apostles. So he basically thought that any money that came into the church was supposed to go back out to the church. Was supposed to go back out to the parishioners, the people who were supporting the church. He also made a very controversial statement right here when he said that the church is headed by Christ, not the Pope. This basically called into question the authority of the Pope and whether the Pope should be held in such high esteem as he is in the Catholic Church. Another of the unsuccessful reformers is a guy named John Huss. And sometimes you'll see his name written as Johann Huss. He's from where the present Czech Republic is today. But he's a 15th century person, so basically the 1400s. He tries to continue Wycliffe's mission, and he is upset over the selling of indulgences. He's also upset over what's called preferential sacrament. Okay, and we're going to talk about what sacraments are a little later, but sacraments are the rituals of the Catholic Church. These would be like baptisms, communion, marriages, last rites, confessional, these types of things that are like a part of the Catholic Church. And if you're not familiar with that, that's okay at this point. Okay, we're going to pick up today by talking about letter C, and letter C is Martin Luther. So let's put a C here because last time we did A and B, so put a little C here. All right, so you can put C. You don't have to write success in your notes. That's just on there to show you that this is the successful reformer. But Martin Luther is a fairly prominent person in world history and in the history of religion. He lived from the years 1483 to 1556, and he begins the Reformation in the year 1517. And what's important to note about Luther is he's not out to like end the church or punish the church or split the church or anything like that. What he wants to do is to bring light to some of the problems that he sees in the church, okay? So one of the things he does is he makes a list of 95 problems, 95 things that he has a problem with within the Catholic Church. These would have been things like the selling of indulgences, the fact that purgatory is filled with people and that the Pope has the power to empty it, but he wants money for it instead. So he's called before the cardinal, which is a high-ranking person in the Catholic Church. And there are lots of cardinals, not just one, but there are several cardinals, and he is given a chance to recant. And that word recant is important too, because recant means to take back. It means to revoke, all right? And he's given a chance to take back the things that he said about the church in the 95 Thesis, and he does not, all right? So he's given a chance to recant, and he doesn't, all right? Okay, so let's talk about indulgences here. And this is still going to be under Luther, so you're not going to start a new letter here. But one of the people who's really prominent in this area, especially in Germany, where Martin Luther was a monk, is a guy named John Tetzel. By the way, a lot of guys named John back then. All right, John Tetzel is a Catholic priest, and he basically went out on behalf of the church and was in charge of like selling indulgences from town to town. So he would basically like gather all the people in the town together and basically say, I have in my hand an indulgence here that can bring about the celestial ticket to paradise for you and for your children, your parents, your grandparents, anyone who has died. I can make it so that their ticket to heaven is stamped, all right, with this indulgence. And I'm going to take all of these prayers for people back to Rome. And he was legit. He did actually work for the church, but a lot of the things he was doing was promising things that the church just couldn't do, okay? So at the time, the church is raising money to finance St. Peter's Basilica. And St. Peter's Basilica is basically the building that you see when you see the Vatican on like TV or in a video or whatever. That building there is St. Peter's Basilica. And the church is trying to raise money to build it. However, they don't have the funds to do so. And so they're basically using people like Tetzel to go out and raise money for the building of it. Okay, so here's something that looks funny, but it's not really. It's called the Diet of Worms, and this is still under Luther, still under C, but in April of 1521, 4 years after the 95 Thesis, the Holy Roman Emperor, a position that we kind of talked about back in the Middle Ages era, when we talk about Charlemagne as the first Holy Roman Emperor. The Holy Roman Emperor at the time in 1521 is this guy named Charles V. Charles V is the king of Spain, and he is the top Catholic political leader in Europe at the time. He's going to call a trial, and he's going to preside over it, and Luther is going to be put on trial. All right? Charles is especially interesting because he is the king of Spain, and his nephew is the Prince of Wittenberg, and that is where Luther resides. So that's important to know that Charles is the king of Spain, but Luther has this very, very important person who is on his side, who could help him through the trial at the Diet of Worms. And this word here, it looks like worms. Worms is actually a city in Germany, all right? Luther is given a chance to recant, but he refuses. So he's given a chance to recant, and he refuses. And a lot of people think that Luther is going to be arrested and put in maybe exiled or maybe killed by the Catholic Church at the end. But because of Prince Frederick, because this guy is looking out for him, he is actually saved. So Luther is excommunicated by the Catholic Church, which basically means he is outlawed or banned in the Catholic Church, but he is hidden away in a place called Wartburg Castle. And Wartburg Castle is a castle in Germany. No one knows he's there except for Prince Frederick and his attendants and people in charge. Most people think Luther is dead, but while he's there, while he's protected in Wartburg Castle, he translates the Bible. And what's important is now the Germans can now read the Bible for themselves. So an important part here of the history of the church and of the Reformation is the idea that people should be able to interpret the Bible themselves, and he's able to do that by writing it in a language that people can understand. And now it can be printed with the printing press and spread all throughout Germany. So people now can read the Bible and not rely on the church to tell them what is in the Bible. And that's where we're going to stop today on letter C, I think. Yep, that's where we're going to stop. And I will have more for you on Martin Luther tomorrow. Have a great day.